Greetings, PerfBytes listeners. It's your old friend Satan here again, and I'm proud to introduce the news of the damned.
Oh God! He really—it's like they're disemboweling him after hitting the submit button. You hit the submit button, and it's like just sucks your soul right out of you. Isn't that how websites work?
Well, Mark, that's happened to a lot of people in the last couple of weeks.
It's actually been rather murderous recently.
Yeah, I've been impacted on several occasions.
Yes. Well. Let's jump in. Dive right in.
Well, let's do like the Maslow's hierarchy of needs here. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs said need number 1 is food.
Okay. Yes.
So in that vein, Olive Garden restaurants, their website went down recently because they offered a $100 voucher for never-ending pasta bowl for the next 7 weeks.
So the winner would get unlimited pasta for 7 weeks.
So basically you have this $100, you pay $100, you have this card, you go in, you present it, and for the next 7 weeks, you can eat as much salad, breadsticks, and pasta as you can. Now, of course, this was a limited availability item,
right?
But Mark, what do you suspect happened when they announced that this was available and only a limited number?
Oh, everyone shows up 5 minutes beforehand. I mean, there's people who will go to Olive Garden are rabidly loving Olive Garden. Let's be honest about that, right?
Well, actually, they do a decent lasagna, and the salad plus lasagna is a pretty good meal. Don't care for the garlic breadsticks, but that's just me. I was actually impacted by this.
Oh, yeah. The website's crashed. I will tell you that the electricians were in our house here, and there's one of the guys named Trevor who was here, and he, like the day of, he gave me the whole rundown, a real human being who's not in technology, who was innocently punished by the evil Olive Garden IT department, and he was distraught. He's like, I swear I got in there. I was able to put an item in. You had to add it to their cart. So they used their existing shopping cart. Probably the only thing you do with Olive Garden as a shopping cart is some kind of gift certificate thing, right? And they used that dynamic interface to launch this initiative. Oh my God. That right there. I mean, like I was asking him, I'm like, Trevor, they had you I could put it in the cart, but then it wouldn't let me check out. I couldn't hit the checkout button. You hit the checkout button, it would just do nothing. And so it's sitting there in his cart.
Well, Trevor did better than me. I got there and I couldn't even put it in the cart.
Really? Like it didn't even come up.
Yeah. I mean, it was just, 503 service unavailable. I mean, it was bad.
Yeah. Server busy. So no breadsticks for you, even though you're not really fond of the breadsticks. But I wonder how many people actually showed up to try to thousands. We'll never know. But these guys were using probably an anemic shopping cart interface of some kind that was never built for this kind of load. And $10 says that the product owners are calling it a huge success. Oh, look how popular we are. This is a huge campaign. It was wonderful. And of course, they're not out any money because did anyone win?
Oh, yeah. They sold out all of the limited items. And of course, they showed up on eBay and places like that, as you would expect for any of these items. And Olive Garden has since said that, these are personalized. So if the name does not match the name on the card, it's void.
So that's evil. This is like pure evil. Like they knew the site wasn't going to stay up and they did some sensational stunt and they never really have to honor the business transaction. If anything, you should put a class action lawsuit and the repair would be a lifetime of endless soup and breadsticks and salad.
I don't know that I could go for that, but as a single guy, $100 for either dinners or lunches for the next 7 weeks, that seemed like a pretty good deal to me.
That'll work, and you might meet the future Mrs. Pulley at the Olive Garden.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Okay. All right. So there you have it. And then, of course, we just had the episode on gadgets. So now it's gadget time.
Well, we haven't quite made it there yet, Mark. So we started with food.
Yes.
Now we need to talk about shelter.
Okay.
So continue on the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Shelter.
Okay.
In Delhi, the Delhi Housing Authority website crashed recently.
Why?
Well, essentially, there's a lottery system involved here. You have a number of houses that are available or housing units that are available.
Mm-hmm.
So you have, and then you have applicants, and it's a lottery system, and first come, first served.
Really?
That type of thing. And it starts on a particular day at a particular time.
Oh my God. They're just asking for it, aren't they?
Yeah. Why, as a member of the Commonwealth, do you have to encourage queuing to this high degree? I do not know.
That is crazy.
But essentially, because it was a point load situation, it was a get in line, so you could have an opportunity to get one of the flats that were available at a given price point.
Yep.
And basically just blew out the website.
That's well, it does tell you a little bit about the housing market in Delhi. Right, that it's highly competitive at certain price points because there's the super wealthy people that may have the high rise luxury apartments. And
that's based upon need and this was subsidized housing. Certainly, the government involved building low priced housing, and so there's a much higher demand in this case. If you've got a lot of money, it's like any market. Someone will be there to build a building for you.
Yes.
No problem.
Yes. And you'd think that the government would know sort of demographically what that demand is going to look like. And again, if you're trying to do a social service, boy, there are people that will help you get these websites right. You don't have to go with just meager nothingness. I think knowing the population in Delhi, they knew there were going to be tons of people demanding that website, and they didn't do anything to get it right.
We pick on Richard Bishop quite a bit about, why he's not helping the British ticketing industry, with their problems and, being able to sell tickets. One might make the argument of this robust performance testing industry that exists all over India. You would think that they would be able to help this particular organization make sure that they didn't crash.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No. And no mistake that India used to be under British rule. So
this is part of the ticketing problem. Then.
Yeah, so the standards for managing infrastructure for the public.
Well, actually, if we continue in that British Empire, Commonwealth ticketing vein and kind of move up the role from food to shelter to maybe kind of love, in this case, we have a naked Geoffrey Rush taking out the Sydney Opera House.
Which I'm not sure that Geoffrey Rush would really have estimated that potentially his nakedity would actually take. I don't think that's much to look at, really. I mean, what's so exciting about that?
Well, maybe we can't blame Mr. Rush altogether, but it was the start of the season for the opera season. And the plays and stuff and everything that's coming to the Sydney Opera House, which I believe we've had a problem with the Sydney Opera House before with their ticketing. And it's just this type of situation. Yeah. So essentially, beginning of season tickets go on sale, and everybody's rushing to see Mr. Geoffrey.
It's not, in all the paintings in the Romantic area, the Renaissance, and all these things, it was always like sort of this. Beautiful women, sort of naked women paintings. Yeah. Live naked guys. Nobody should be trying to get tickets for that. No offense to Mr. Rush, but I wouldn't let this, go to his ego.
That's okay. I saw a picture of Mr. Rush. I was offended.
Yeah. So that's but again, is it a stunt? These guys are a second time offender on the News of the Damned. Maybe these guys know what they're doing, but I don't think so. I bet they're hurting revenue wise. They probably could have sold a lot more tickets.
It could be.
Yeah.
So let's take one more bump up on the ticketing system, and we'll call this one self-actualization. So that way we've covered all of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and then we'll go back and do some of the more fun items. In Canada, the Canadian Museum for Human Rights, their website went down.
Isn't that a violation of their human rights?
Well, Mark, I went to their website, and as far as an explanation goes, they said they tested it for 5,000 users. Oh. And evidently they had more than 5,000 show up. And I saw no evidence of this testing for 5,000 users when I was there.
Maybe they tested for 5,000 users one at a time, politely. Standing in a row.
Maybe half for French or something. I don't know.
I don't know.
But I would suspect that maybe what they actually tested for was 50 users that were told to act like Americans so they would appear as if there are 5,000 users.
Well, because yeah, exactly. Now, extrapolation is evil. Extrapolation is evil. It's where you want to be in the news of the damned. You probably took maybe they took the Load Runner Community Edition. Good for them. But you don't extrapolate it by 100 in order to get to 5,000.
Mark, if we turn off think time, doesn't that mean each one represents like 100?
This is my old adage. No think time equals no thinking. That's bad. Very evil. Very evil. But again, a rather obscure museum, which, Canadian Museum for Human Rights, very interesting subject. No dissing to them. It's a brand new museum. Yeah.
And they were offering free tickets for a limited number of individuals. So of course, Canadians, even as polite as they are, will engage in a mad rush for items free or items beer. Yeah.
Or hockey.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So now that we've covered all the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, let's go back and talk about the fun stuff.
Yes.
Which you can't have been alive for the past week and not heard about all the things going on with Apple.
Apple.
Exactly.
Apple.
Or if you're a Simpsons fan, some Maple.
Actually, if you're a Simpsons fan, you didn't know that anything was happening in the world because you've been glued to the Simpsons marathon.
Oh yeah, on FXX. Yeah, good point. So there were a couple of foibles on the Apple front. One was the Apple streaming video announcement, which I understand the first 5 or 10 minutes was in Chinese for a lot of people that were not.
I saw Shane posted that. It was like, is it just me or is this in Chinese?
Yeah,
they had the signal crossed. Just totally screwed it up. Yeah.
And then we had the Apple pre-order problem. And then that extended to Verizon for Apple pre-orders and online orders. Yeah, so Apple kind of infected a lot of their partners in that sense.
And this is the evil of interconnected lack of understanding. So it's, if you're going to connect your systems together with your partners, with your vendors, reseller channels, or like the website for the government that shall not be named, if you're going to connect through some kind of exchange, you've got to figure out who's going to test end to end, who's going to test their side, who's going to test my side, who's going to test both together. If you don't do that, this is, again, you cannot just say, well, my component scales to X and my component scales to Y. Well, what about X and Y together? Did anyone test that? No, they didn't. And that's bad.
I didn't have an opportunity to examine the Apple video stream primarily because I couldn't get to it.
No, but a lot of people couldn't.
Exactly. Because I was actually very curious as to whether they were taking advantage of a unicast stream or a multicast stream. And for those of you who are not video aficionados, multicast is like a television station. Essentially, I broadcast a video stream and then I have units that pick it up. Television's kind of in the wild.
Yep.
If I turn on an additional television, it doesn't really significantly increase the load coming back. Can you imagine the inverse of that, which would be unicast? Every time I turned on a TV, I had to give a direct signal from my broadcast antenna directly to that one and only television. We would simply run out of bandwidth like crazy.
You'd run out of everything. You'd run out of IP address space. You'd run out of all sorts of things.
Exactly. So it's clear they were taking advantage of content delivery networks and the ability to proxy the video through the CDN. Because I think in a lot of cases, these 503 server unavailable and stuff was actually coming from the CDN, where it was getting timeout to the back end system. And I suspect Apple was using a unicast video stream because it's easier to manage with CDN rebroadcasting. If that's the case, that would be the root of the problem. I can't confirm that. Anyone on the Apple front, if you know whether they're using unicast or multicast, I know the Darwin streaming server has the capability of doing both, and both very, very effectively. So it could have been either one. We'd like some insight from you guys on how you fixed it, if we have any Apple listeners.
Yeah. I would go out on a limb here to say, if you think about past product launches and things from Apple, they're actually very successful with streaming live video. And you might build a false confidence that says, well, we don't have to think of this. Nothing's going to be different. We know how to do this. It's a standard protocol, kind of set it up, run the stream. So I'm thinking that there was some overconfidence that we don't need to test because they know how to do it. The second thing could be, what if they started going to higher resolution stream, and it just is like, oh, this is the same stream, same source, same CDN, but it's now in HD, that they maybe upped the quality a little bit, and so it just hammered the route. Good point. So you got to a tipping point on the stream size versus the quality, and your trade-off wasn't great, particularly if it was unicast and they were going overseas for the first time. Oh, that would be
maybe selling in China as an open market for these announcements.
Yeah. Now the scary thing that bugs me about this, because Apple is so big and so influential in the industry, that if they start taking a black eye on something like this video stuff, a failed stream, there are all sorts of other companies that are like, well, we're not going to do live streams anymore. Apple screwed it up, so I guess it's not really, if they can't do it, then nobody can do it. So we're just going to give up. And there's lots of great, like you mentioned, there's a great technology for streaming in Google's YouTube. YouTube, man, amazing. Why didn't Apple use YouTube?
YouTube can proxy. Absolutely, it can do that.
Heck yeah. But so there are a lot of different ways they could handle this,
and so if you work at Apple, we're very interested in some of your feedback internally that you can share with our audience.
I'm not so interested. I don't really care.
Okay. Well, the Apple and Verizon Apple pre-orders Mike Lyles happened to note that the Verizon site was just down.
Yeah.
Period.
It was down hard. Yeah. If you looked at down right now and some of the other tracking, it was out. Like I don't know why. I don't know if that was load related though.
I think it was, because it was right after the announcement, and Apple and Verizon is one of the primary partners. And I think Mike was probably trying to put in his order for his latest Apple thingy.
Yep.
And what can you say? I mean, this is simply
point load,
not understanding your load model, or it could be overconfidence in some cases of management deciding they did not feel there was sufficient risk to do another test.
Could be. I think there's also when a company like Apple gets to the size that they've become in the market, as well as just the number of customers that they touch and they attract, that gravity around a given thing like a product launch. If you do a normal point load, let's say you go to 10x of your normal load. Let's say you normally test for 500 and you're go to 5,000, right?
Yep. Apple
comes along, somebody says the word Apple. Oh yeah, Apple just automatically double, triple, quadruple. And if anyone questions, just point to these stories and say, everyone on the planet underestimates what this one vendor, this one company, the fad, the marketing. Look at the U2 stuff that's being downloaded on iTunes. I mean, the marketing engine is so powerful. If you're a little company, a little Verizon company, and you're not ready, 10x. 20x, 30x. Just get ready for that spike test load and start doing it today.
We can't blame Apple altogether because Motorola,
why not? Yes, we
also
can.
A division of Google, didn't get it right either for the Moto 360.
I will give it to you. I'll give that to you as well. Maybe it's not just Apple, but if you're going to be if you're going to be associated with a big name, then your site's going to go down. Period. Yeah. Even if your company is that name. If you work at Google right now, yeah, dude, you know how to do this.
I mean, if Motorola, they could see the interest for all the people coming to the Moto 360 preview website, all the people that had signed up for information on the watch when it was going to go live. So they knew this load was coming
in a big, big way. And they have a huge infrastructure that they could have been relying on.
And for whatever reason, they did not leverage it. They
didn't. And when did Google announce the acquisition of Motorola? Was it 6 months ago?
Oh, no. It's been a while.
It's been years.
Yeah. And I know they've spun off some portions of it, but I don't know if this piece is still part of Google or not.
Right. But here's my shout out to the merger and acquisition people in the room. If you're underestimating the benefit to the little guy getting swallowed by the big fish, like Apple buys Dr. Dre's Beats, you're going to get Beats headphones. The Beats website, what is it going to crash? Oh, probably. So if you're the little guy in the M&A, you should point to these stories and say, we're going to accelerate the time frame to get our stuff on your website. So if Motorola guys came along and said, hey, we're going to move our shopping cart pre-order system, whatever it is, and get it converted into the Google infrastructure, they should have done that in the contract deal that says, here's another $100 million to get all of your stuff on board, the big guys.
Yeah. And I don't know why the initial funding crowd doesn't do this as well. Angel investors and things of that nature insist that really solid performance plans are in place and performance tests are conducted before they get their next round of funding.
There's a good idea.
Just to ensure that these companies have viability. They're not just building something that can only work for one user. And then as soon as they get 10 or 15 people on there, they get disappointed and they go away.
Yeah. If the whole point of investing or buying a company is that it's going to grow, if your systems don't grow with you, you got to have a solid scalability and growth plan, and not something measured in years. I would measure it in months. So every month we're going to add 10% capability. And then in month 6, when we release this next version that you're investing in with these new features, we're going to test to double the capacity of our ordering system or our, whatever system. Yeah, exactly. It's so sad. Thank you again, by the way, James, for continuing to come up with the news of the damn stories.
Mark, there's a common theme that runs through all the news of the damned for this week. From Olive Garden to the naked Jeffrey Rush to the Canadian Museum for Human Rights, the Delhi housing to, not quite the Apple streaming video, but the Apple pre-order, Verizon pre-order, Moto 360. It's the cart.
Yeah, especially Olive Garden. That's like, what the heck? They're not traditionally an e-commerce vendor, and somebody just stupidly in IT said, we could just use the cart. Yeah. And it couldn't be more wrong. And the people that should know better, James, Apple should know better, Verizon, all these guys should know better, and they're handing over the decisions to someone in IT who's grown a pair of horns. Welcome to the news of the damned. Vincent Price is about to say something here, I think. Is that right? Typically. So Vincent Price's laugh is the laugh of your competitors as your website is crashing. And then the guy screaming in the background is you. Don't you think?
Mark, all I can say is if you make it on News of the Damned, You better hope your angel investor isn't listening.
Yeah, because you're probably going to get dumped.